has an opinion about how this went down, but Key, how do you explain Shedeur falling into the 5th round of the draft?
It's really hard to explain. It really is. It's like a mystery. It's head-scratching. You know, ever since the Thursday night first round, it's just head-scratching to think about. It's a combination of things, though, I believe, Joy, Paul, because when I look at the draft and I'm trying to break things down with some sort of sense in my brain as to why he didn't go to certain places. And the only thing I keep coming back to is there were not a lot of teams that needed a quarterback that would come in as a rookie and start for them. There's just not a lot of teams, right? We had Tennessee who took the quarterback, so that was off the board. Then all of a sudden you got like the Giants, Pittsburgh needed one, maybe the Raiders, but the Raiders had signed Geno Smith, and they were certainly interested in a running back, which they took at the 6th spot. So you start looking at New Orleans maybe, but then I'm like, Kellen Moore wants something look more like him and his style when he played opposed to what Shedeur's abilities are. And I just break it all the way down. And I say, couldn't Pittsburgh, number one, I don't think that there was no, and I keep hearing everybody talk about the league colluded against the Sanders family. I don't think there was no collusion, first of all, in the National Football League against Deion and his sons. Because if that was the case, you need all 32 teams to do this. And I don't believe for one bit that the Pittsburgh Steelers was doing that, okay, and Mike Tomlin and the Rooney family. I know damn well the Dallas Cowboys wasn't signing off on that. I know that Ozzie Newsome and the Baltimore Ravens didn't need a quarterback, but they certainly could have drafted a backup for Lamar, but Ozzie Newsome wasn't going to allow the Baltimore Ravens to sit there and go, well, we got to take him because of this, that, there. His dad played for Ozzie Newsome when he was a general manager and a player for the Baltimore Ravens. So I started just looking at all the different things. And it may be different in basketball, but I doubt it, though, Paul, because in football, there's these regional scouts. They handle certain regions within the scouting department. And they compile information. They put reports together. And a lot of times, the general managers take the information that they're given from their aerial scouts, and they look at that information. And sometimes, many times, it shapes the thought of that general manager in the process of evaluating a player. So a lot of times, these scouts that come out start to gather this information from different sources or whatever the case is, to hand to these general managers so they can make this decision. So when I'm looking at it and I'm saying to myself, okay, this same evaluator that covers Oregon, for instance, probably covers Colorado and is giving this information as to who Shedeur is. On top of that, you got to think when they're gathering this information from the University of Colorado, they're getting it from all these different places, but all these different coaches that are talking, Coach Sherm, who's his quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, whatever, receiver coach, even the head coach, strength and conditioning coach, they all work for Deion. So all this information that's coming to them sounds the same because they actually are telling the truth about the kid. But the scout don't want to believe that. He wants it to be something that it's not. So in his little report, he writes, I'm not getting truth from da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, because it all sounds the same, because he's playing for his father. And they believe that some of these coaches are withholding the information to save their own jobs with Deion, opposed to, and that ain't even the truth, opposed to lying and trying to cover up something. So they write these reports, they give it to these general managers, and they form their opinions. And I spoke to at least 3 general managers and a president of a team that I know personally over the last couple of days and asking them, what's up? What's with this? And they was telling me, they was like, nothing. We didn't need a quarterback. Every last one of them said, we didn't need a QB, man. We can't take him because we didn't need him. I said, well, why would somebody else, why would they pass on him? They said, because the scouts gave him this information and that general manager didn't necessarily do his homework the way he was supposed to do it. And that is, I got to believe them because they ain't never lied to me before. And so when I'm looking at it, I'm like, they just not doing the right things that they supposed to. And that's why these organizations continue to recycle these general managers. And every time you look up, they getting a new one every 3 years. There's a new one coming in the building. But he landed in a great spot, though, Joy. He should be happy like he was. Go jump in another pool. Go jump in another pool, man. He should be happy.
How do you explain it, Robin?
Well, it's tough to explain because I've never seen in draft history, NFL, NBA, you projected to go between possibly as high as 2 to late as, 21? That was to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think a lot of it had to do with being personal, truthfully, or it's either that or the gap between him and the other quarterbacks ticking before him was not as wide as people thought. And so in saying that, if he didn't go into these meetings well with the right attitude, all that counts, Key. That all counts how they perceive you.
It does. But I sent you that video of the dude that got drafted in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
How he threw that ball? Now, come on. If I'm looking at that,
But
Jordan,
that's how they feeling. They feel like the gap wasn't
if I'm
just...
looking at that shook, and I'm looking at him throw that football the way he did, that shook, but that's Will Levis all over again.
Yeah.
He just took the ball and threw it. And you want that?
But I'm saying, like, if it's close.
Is humble, Keyshawn.
When it's close, but if they feel like if it's close, and you go into these meetings and not meeting well, they gonna take the later half. You know how I go. I don't think he played the game like he needed to play the game.
I don't care about meetings.
Yeah,
what I care about is what I put in, and I click, and I see him delivering the football.
Right.
I don't care about any of the other stuff.
I understand that, but like if you're not just a outerly worldly talent, you know what I'm saying? I can't miss. Like coming in like this is the best guy we've seen since sliced bread. If it ain't that, I'll try again next year. We not really, character thing, and I'm not saying anything he had a bad character or any of that, but a lot of little things when you're about to invest millions of dollars into a child and somebody who's going to represent your organization, you do your due diligence, obviously, but if it's a can't miss talent, then you be like, well, I can look somewhere else. I mean, it happens.
It does.
I don't know. I'm going to sound like I'm going in a million different directions right now because I'm trying to contextualize how I feel. I'm not a big conspiracy theorist. I agree with you. I don't think it's possible to get 32 teams and 32 owners who would like to win to be a part of a conspiracy to make sure that he falls in the draft. What I do think, though, is this. With all due respect, I don't care about quarterback evaluators. You don't know what you're talking about.
They literally don't know.
You have no idea what you're talking about.
They literally do not know.
You're guessing, and sometimes you're right, and most of the time you're super wrong.
Super wrong.
They do not know how to evaluate the quarterback position. I say that with an immense amount of respect.
But you're not wrong.
But you don't know what you're talking about. There is an insurmountable amount of evidence that you are completely clueless when it comes to evaluating quarterbacks. There are so many factors that go into whether a quarterback is successful or not. And talent is really the last thing because they're all somewhat talented. It's what organization you go to. It's the coaching. It's the development coaching that you have. It's health. It's the offensive line. It's the offensive line coach. It's the offensive coordinator. It's the defensive coordinator. It's whether you've played in that weather before. It's who your veterans are. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. It's the system that you're in. It's the skill positions that you have. It's if you have a running game. It's if the defense can stop the run so that you're not on the field all the time. The list goes on and on. So with all due respect, no one on this planet knows how to evaluate quarterbacks. Where is my camera? No one. You're all full of it. Please give me this job because it literally is just a guess. So this whole idea that everyone's like, wow, he was going to be overdrafted. Was Brock Purdy overdrafted? Was he underdrafted? He was the last pick in the NFL draft. He was Mr. Irrelevant. He's played in the NFC Championship game in the Super Bowl. I don't care what any of you have to say about quarterbacks.
Twice NFC Championship game.
You don't know anything about evaluating quarterbacks. This whole thing is nonsense. Let's just look at the quarterbacks that have played, right? #1 overall picks that have played in the Super Bowl in the last 10 years. Twice in the last 10 years, there's been #1 overall picks who've played against each other. Matthew Stafford and Joe Burrow, and Peyton Manning and Cam Newton. That's 2015. Peyton Manning. Peyton, who's been doing television and producing movies for how many years now? Stop talking to me about these high picks and what you know about it. You don't know anything. It's all a complete crapshoot. So I don't think it's a conspiracy. I can't get that far. But please, he didn't interview well. He's not humble. I have got some news for you guys, and this is going to sound dramatic, but these kids don't care about what you're talking about anymore. They're NIL. They're coming into these leagues with millions of dollars, with sponsorship, with followings, with shows, with podcasts. maybe, just maybe, these young people want to feel like they're going somewhere where their future is in the hands of someone competent. God forbid there be some accountability with these organizations. What are we talking about?
Yeah.
He was projected to go anywhere from 2 to 21, and he fell to the 5th round. Listen, God, best of luck to everyone. That's all I'm saying. Because if this goes sideways and he actually ends up being good, y'all gonna have some real explaining to do. But I don't know, and guess what? You don't know either, because if I go down this list and I look at the guys who've been drafted #1 overall, where's my list? Hold on. Let's just look at the quarterbacks that have been drafted #1 over the past 10 years. Cam Ward, obviously, we have no idea what he's going to be. Caleb Williams, we don't know what Caleb's going to do. Bryce Young. Bryce Young. Do we know what Bryce? Trevor Lawrence, has he won a playoff game yet? No.
Keep going.
Okay. Joe Burrow, success story. Kyler Murray.
Keep going.
Okay. Baker Mayfield, won some playoff games. Not playing for his original team. He's on his 4th team now, by the way. And Jared Goff. Let's consider that a success story as well. You don't know what you're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about.
They make mistakes on the quarterback position all the time.
All the time.
And I said it before. They draft him. They give him a 3-year window, and they throw him away.
Where's your fan at?
I mean, that's just what they do. I think he'll be fine. I really do. I think he'll be fine. It's a mystery. I have no idea, Joy.
We need the Scooby-Doo crew on this.
I have no idea why he would fall to the 5th round. Because when you look at the teams, it's true. Everybody didn't need a quarterback. They didn't. Everybody didn't need a backup. It's very true. But there are some teams that got backups on it that he's better than, that you still holding on to the backup. Yeah. So that just tells me those teams that passed on him because of the information that their regional scout and college scouting director gave that general manager, president of the team, and they did not do their proper homework and due diligence to really understand who he was. Damn an interview. Okay, you're going to tell me an interview, because typically what they say, Paul and Joy, they don't tell you about the interview, they tell you about the board. He wasn't successful on getting on the board. So they couldn't mess with his football IQ. They couldn't do that. So they had to switch it to the interview and say he was arrogant because he came in with a chain on. Oh, okay. So he came in with a chain on. Big deal. He didn't slouch in his seat. He didn't walk out of the meeting room early. He didn't come late. Those are the things that make you worry. But having a conversation with you and telling you that he's going to change your franchise like he did Jackson State and like he did at Colorado, I want that on my team. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not going to punish him and dock him because of that. I'm like, yeah, I got me a dog here.
So chains are the problem now?
Do you think
So chains are the problem now?
No, but do you think the shadow? Shadow of Deion has something to do with it?
Deion coaching Colorado, man. He ain't worried about what his damn son getting ready to do.
But I'm just saying, say this. In a couple years, Shedeur becomes a starter.
Yes.
That coach out of there.
Yeah.
And come prime.
Wait up. Do your job. You get paid to coach in the NFL.
That could potentially
like that
happen in
shadow. Yeah, that could potentially. Yeah.
Yeah, but that ain't got nothing to do with Deion.
You know what could also happen?
When?
You could have not drafted him, and the player that you draft isn't good, but had a great, very humble interview. Didn't have too many diamonds on.
But that always happens. That always happens.
Then you could get fired anyway.
But that always happens.
I don't know what Shedeur's going to be. I think he's better than a 5th-round pick. But I don't know what he's going to be. Just like I don't know what any of the quarterbacks that were picked in front of him are going to be, including Cam Ward. And guess what? Neither does any person walking this planet. God knows. None of you know. And the proof is insurmountable. I can give you draft after draft after draft after draft after draft since the beginning of this sport of complete busts, of complete overdrafts, of complete mistakes. Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback to ever play this position. He was drafted in the 6th round. None of you know what you're talking about. You do not. But what I will say is if I hear the word humble one more time.
Humble.
Why would they be humble? Who are you? Who are you? You're a regional scout. Oh, it's not very humble. Well, you have this job because you drove somebody in a golf cart a couple times with some Gatorade. What are you talking about?
You sound like me now.
Okay, but this is the truth, and you know this because you've been around the league. I'm not saying that there aren't qualified people who are making these decisions. There are. But this idea that these young men are going to come into your office or sit down in front of you and be, please allow me to play in your league. I've done nothing to deserve this. Please. These guys have worked their entire lives. How much time did you put in before you got to the NBA, Paul? Did you say you did a few hours in the gym before you got there?
About hours.
Did someone walk up to you and discover you in a crowd, or did you work really hard and lift some weights?
No, you got to work. You got to put in the work. They discover you. They'll find you.
It's a special thing to make it to the league, but you earn that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
They found me in a modeling magazine.
With the earring. All right.
They thought I was cute. They thought I was cute, Joy. They said he's very cute, tall, he has a fade, dark and handsome. I think he can catch footballs. Let's sign him.
Listen, everybody has their path to success, if you know what I mean. Michael Irvin talked on Friday that a fall in the draft can be seen differently as where you land. So do you think that Cleveland was a good landing spot for Shedeur?
I do. I thought even at the second pick, but even in the fifth round, I think he's going to have an opportunity to play, battle for the starting spot, if not a backup spot. So I think it's a great situation for him. You know, sometimes you get put in these situations where it can humble you and it can make you a little more hungrier. And hopefully this does do this for Shedeur. You know, I was not in quite a way the same position as him, but I slid in the draft, and it fueled a fire for me because I was expected to go 1 or 2, and I slid to 10. And it's not the same as this, but it still fueled a fire in me. And hopefully this can fuel a fire in him to where he can go out there and prove everybody wrong.
Great landing spot. Such a great landing spot. Remember I said this, you know me, I'll put myself out there in the world.
You've been saying this about Cleveland, though.
If they don't somehow wrestle Kirk Cousins away from Atlanta, Shedeur Sanders will be the starting quarterback in Cleveland no less than week 3. I promise you. And the only reason why week 3 is because Joe Flacco will be the veteran guy that may get the start, boom, boom, boom.
Kenny Pickett has the best odds to start right now. You don't think
damn Kenny Pickett's odds.
Okay.
I'm just talking about what these coaches are trying to do and what they're looking for. Joe Flacco becomes a starter. He throws one of them 4 pick games that he can have. Mm-hmm. And Shedeur Sanders is in unless they get Kirk Cousins. Because he's better than Dylan Gabriel, regardless if Dylan Gabriel went higher than him at third pick in the third round. Okay, he's better than Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel's been to like 9 different schools. He's been often injured. He had great success at Oklahoma when he was healthy, as well as at Oregon. But Shedeur is better than him. Deshaun Watson probably has played his last game as a Cleveland Brown and maybe even in the National Football League.
Yeah.
Okay, because of his injury history and then everything else in his past, it's going to be hard for somebody to want to take that on. Then when you speak of Kenny Pickett, that what is that? This is his third team. Like, what are they? You really think that? And he's going in there with a chip on his shoulder. On top of that, them veteran players that sit in that locker room, they gonna like how he prepares, his work ethic, who he is, number one. They gonna like the fact that he's Deion's son. They gonna like that. And they gonna run through a wall to show that he belongs as their starting quarterback. You watch what I tell you. Them Jared Judys, they jumping for joy right now. They happy as pie. I can't wait. And here's another one for you, Joy. In about 2 months, we gonna hear the noise out of Cleveland, how fast he's picked up the system and what a great teammate he is. And, oh, my God, this guy's the first one in, the last one out of the building. You're going to start to hear all of those sort of things that's going to lead into the preseason. You watch what I tell you.
Yeah, and I bet they're going to say the 5th-round draft pick humbled him and put him in.
They might spin it that way, too. They might spin it that way,
but he
too.
didn't have this work ethic before.
They gonna spin, but they gonna spin it.
It was them doing him a favor, reminding him where he stands in the world, so that he could, he could have that fire.
He was so, like I said, man, he was disappointed for those first 5 rounds or 4 rounds. But once he put that hat on,
of course, and
you just want to get your name called.
He's excited, and I do actually think it's a good place for him. It's his job to win, because when you look at the quarterbacks that are in the building, as you just mentioned, I mean, if you are what any of us who think he's an NFL quarterback thought, he has a great opportunity to be the starting quarterback for the Browns this year. They have a good coach. They have a lot of talent. They haven't been able to put everything together. And the other part is you know, they can't get much worse offensively. They had this last ranked scoring offense in the league last year, 28th ranked total offense, 29th ranked rushing offense, 32nd ranked third down offense. They gave up the second most sacks. I can go on and on and on. But they're pretty much at the bottom of the barrel. So they have nothing and nowhere to go but up.
And they're not going to carry 5 quarterbacks on the roster anyway.
No, of course not.
You know?
Of course not. But I do agree with you. If they do end up getting Kirk Cousins, it'll be a different situation. But I actually think that that will be a good thing for him and for going
absolutely.
bring in Kirk Cousins. Did I snap a little bit too much?
No, you
said your
good.
piece.
You
said
good.
your
You're a
piece.
Jet fan now, so everything is all good.
This is true. Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.